What does this act mean to you? What does this act mean for your family? And what does this act mean for our county? I'll go through very few provisions that we have made. Initially, in market stalls and market services, there had been a proposal to increase levies by 30% on market stalls. However, after public participation where we listened, those charges were revised to a modest 10% increment given inflation. On alcoholic drinks and licensing, and this is very interesting, every single public participation session proposed a raise in those charges because of the sprawling nature of these establishments. The proposal to raise charges on alcoholic drinks and licensing was adopted to help control the number of drinking outlets across the county that many of our young people have fallen now captive to. The City Inspectorate Department, after a lot of sessions, not just the public participation sessions, but my own engagements with those in the public transport sector, the matatu sector, the taxis, impounding charges were retained in some areas and reduced in others to drive compliance. But beyond that, the fees charged to those matatus that don't terminate in the CBD were halved, because many of them don't get to the CBD and they don't even pay at all. And the matatu sector, and I must thank them, because we've organized them into corridors, said they themselves will help us ensure 100% compliance of those matatus that don't terminate in the CBD to be paying from where they do. That is Outer Ring, Taj Mall, that is in Eastlands and Kawangware and all of those parts. But for the rest, we've been working very well. For 1 year, you have not had matatu strikes. You have not had hue and cry that is always in that sector. In outdoor advertising and signage, application fees for outdoor advertising have been increased in a modest manner. Our aim this year is really to drive compliance, especially in the medium and small format advertising that is in many of our businesses. In physical planning, land and housing, which is our biggest revenue source, we had proposed to increase rent by 25%, but following consultations with the great people who have given us mandate, we have only increased that by 10% in our estates. On public health services, some proposed new charges had been put on reproductive health, but we have scrapped all of those. Where people expressed their views and showed that they're actually interested and are serious consumers of our health services. We have had you. We've maintained and reduced some of those charges. In parking, the new law provides for new parking zones that are well defined. As we move and adopt technology, we will increase measures to make sure you get value for your money when you come into the CBD. If you come for a few minutes in the CBD and many zones, you don't have to pay for the whole day. But for now, the new charges introduced for registration of taxis and border borders have been accepted by the sector, because even they want order and dignity in the provision of their services. In the alternative provision of basic education and training, up-bed schools, we know that many of our schools in Nairobi are not formal schools. They're informal schools in the informal settlements. We have only 209 public primary schools. And when we decided to embark on a program to feed the children, the leadership of these other schools said, these other children are also your children, and they're struggling. And that is why, even when we revise our supplementary, we're building 5,000 new classrooms in Nairobi over the next 3 years, starting with 500 this year, and in each and every ward, around 38 of those in this first financial year. But for the alternate provision of basic education and training up-bed schools who struggle to pay the fee of 10,000 shillings, we have reduced it to 3,000, which can be paid every term. 1,000 first term, 1,000 second term, and 1,000 third term. I want to acknowledge that I have received communication from this association that has many thousands of our children studying in these institutions. They are happy and they have promised to comply. The dealers in the petrol station outlets came to me and they said that they have been lumped under one charge of 100,000 shillings, whether you have one pump of kerosene and paraffin or you are a big multinational with 10 pumps. And we listened to them and we agreed to graduate the fees that are charged to them. We listened to Nairobians who said that yes, they want to pay land rates. We are the only county that has a revised valuation roll of 2019. And they said that they would love to pay, but would love to pay in installments. For the first time in the history of this county, we will allow for Nairobians to pay monthly for 10 months, leaving the last 2 months for enforcement. In our discussions with many business people before the campaigns and once we got into office, many of our business people have complained at the numerous licenses and fees that they have to pay and paste on their doors. If you go to any business just across City Hall, down Moi Avenue, you might not know the color of the wall because there are 10, 15 licenses pasted on the notice boards. This Finance Act heralds the provision of a unified single business permit, where once you go through the steps, you will only have one certificate that you put up on your wall with a QR code. And our inspectors, and we've said that inspection will be coordinated. You will not have one person coming today, another person from a different sector tomorrow, another person the day after, but one inspection team that comes can be able to say whether you've paid for everything that appertains to your business. That is the first time this is happening in our country. That's the first time it is happening in Nairobi, and we'd like to urge the national government to also follow cue with the other charges that are statutory. That is the PRISC, the camp, the music society, etc. Let it be one license. Let business people use their time and energy in doing business, not in complying. Let's make it convenient, let's make it easy, let's make it certain, and let's make it predictable.